It is Tuesday. Welcome, our wonderful BBs. Raquel and I don't know. Okay, I think this was the one episode where I just kind of like fan melted and was like, "Is it no? No, I did fan melt." So I'm just putting that out there now so that you're prepared. We had the amazing opportunity through serendipity to finally have a chat with Nova Stevens, who is Miss Canada 2020, one of my personal heroes and a fast friend who I have so much respect and admiration for. And Raquel and I just got to spend a glorious hour talking about so many things, from empowerment, from what a pageant is like, from bringing people together, mentorship. What else did we talk about? So many things. Black Lives Matter movement, the activism that she does.
Empathy. I don't know if you said that.
Empathy. Oh, empathy. I did not say that. Thank you. So this is really amazing for anyone who is really looking to design their life, because I think one of the things that we discovered with Nova, and one of the things that she really imparts upon us throughout this episode, is how to really normalize just being intentional about who you are and really checking yourself and making sure that confidence is grounded within you and not defined by other people outside of you. So if you're looking to level up, to play at a really high level, this is such an amazing episode for you for that reason alone, and so many more. Enjoy. That is my excitement level. This is the excitement level. Okay, I have a story. I have story time. Story time is that exactly 1 year beforehand, Raquel and I had discovered the Nova Stevens. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we were both like, this is the most beautiful woman. We had just started the podcast. We were like, who do we want? And I was like, I want Nova Stevens. And we were like dreaming as big as we could. And fast forward a year, we've done this podcast for a year. I'm at a fitting for a shoot, and I turn around and there's this absolutely stunning human being. And I literally just, I'm pretty sure that you had your like back almost to me, because I just stared. I was just like, oh, I just inhaled for like 28 seconds. And then finally I was like, okay, act cool. And then I went up and I was like, in my most casual acting way, I was like, you're Nova. And Nova was like, hi, yes, I am. And immediately I was like, I know who you are. All my pretenses went. I was just like, I know who you are. You're Miss Canada 2020. And so a year later, we looked, my message to Nova had gone into the other inbox, which is that evil other inbox on Instagram and Facebook. And she was like, I've never seen this. And yes, I would love to come in and be on your podcast. And I was like, she's, in my mind, I'm like crying. I'm like, she's the best person, so sweet and lovely and kind, because you don't want to meet your heroes. But now we actually have, and now we get to sit with you for an hour, and we got to spend so much lovely time for the longest fitting. And I've got to say, it was a long fitting. Goodness. But at least we had each other. So by introduction, please welcome, with invisible applause that we can't hear right now because we're busy, Nova Stevens. And I'm going to say that you were born Nyawal Bukjok.
Okay, do you want like my full name?
Please.
Do it.
It's long, so you might want to write this down. Okay. All right, so Nova Druka Nyawal Kwany Bukjok Stevens.
Nova Druka Nyawal
Daruka.
Daruka.
Nyawal
Kwany
Bukjok Stevens.
Kwany Bukjok Stevens.
Yeah.
What a gorgeous name. That is amazing. Well, for the sake of me not looking like I don't know how to say that, I'm going to stick with Nova. But that is a gorgeous, gorgeous name. And Nova you're a model, you're an activist, a beauty pageant title holder, which we're going to get into beauty pageantry. You were crowned Miss Universe Canada in 2020. I saw your acceptance speech. I saw you as you were going through all of these phases and getting into those last steps, and then when you won, and that speech was just incredible. You are the first woman of South Sudanese origin to compete at the pageant, and you're also a professional model and an activist for Black Lives Matter. And there was a protest that was staged in Vancouver. What was it? Was April last year?
June 19th and August 1st.
Right. Okay. And I was at one of those. And I saw you from afar again, which I didn't bring up at the time. I was like, okay, don't overwhelm the Nova with all of the times I've seen the Nova.
The Nova.
In my mind, you are just the Nova. You're the Nova. You're the Nova, the supernova.
I love it.
So welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, ladies. What an amazing welcome, Christina. My goodness. I'm like, can I have it every day? Like, geez. You're the sweetest. When I met you, I just like felt your energy, and I'm like, this woman you are also a phenomenal woman. So I'm also a fan, and I just love what you're both doing. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to get into today because the Nova does everything. And her and I had these incredible conversations about mentorship. And I do want to bring that up a little bit later on because I want to talk about that project. And I'd love you to come back and speak with us again when things are rolling next year, because there's always going to be new things to talk about. So first off, you have lived a life and a half. So can you give our listeners a rundown on your childhood, what it was like growing up?
Oh man. Okay. So I immigrated to Canada when I was 6 years old with my cousin. I landed in Newfoundland. So if you don't know what Newfoundland is, it's very homogenous. You can imagine it not being as diverse. And there's 6-year-old me with my cousin. I think I was there for about a year or so. And then I moved to Ontario with my other relatives. And I've just been living with different relatives from that point on until I was 15. And then I said, you know what? Like, I can take care of myself best. I'm just going to live on my own. And I've been living on my own since.
15.
Of course, I had help. But yeah.
That's a huge step. Like, that's wild. And then you moved to New York after that, right?
I moved to New York in 2014, or at least I attempted to move to New York.
Okay.
Let's just say New York kicked my butt. Oh my goodness. I remember it was right after the first pageant that I competed in, Miss Universe Canada, the first time I competed in. And I'm like, I'm going to go to New York. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to just walk in and be discovered. That's what I was thinking. Reality said, no, that's not how it works. Life is like, no. So I get there. And I'm knocking agency doors, and everyone's like, you're too this, like too commercial, I was like, I'm too commercial. In Canada, I was told I was too high fashion. I go to New York, I'm told I'm too commercial. So I'm like, I'm so confused. Or like, you're too tall. And I'm like, what? I thought I was the perfect type for modeling. I thought you wanted taller models. And I just wasn't having a lot of luck in New York. And then I had like a really strange living situation, which I'll tell you guys privately. But I remember just like living off of dollar pizzas. So I would literally have a pizza for lunch and then have one for dinner. That was it. That was my I had no money at all.
Full real New York, like struggling performer experience. That's incredible.
The struggle was so real. I would go to Starbucks, buy one tea and stay for hours so I could use their, internet. And just like ask for refills of hot water. Like, oh my God. I think I was 19, 20s. Yeah.
So wait, okay. So you went over. What impresses me so much is that you decided at 15, it was time for you to kind of, navigate in a career that is brutal. Like modeling I know from my older sister being a model for a very long time how crushing that can be to your self-esteem, to your soul. And when had you started, when did you get like the pageantry kind of bug, as it were? Like when were you like, oh, this looks great? How old were
It was
you?
actually, I was I was 19, so I moved to New York around the same time, the same year that I did the pageant.
Okay.
And it was accidental. I think the year prior, I saw like an ad. Do you want to be the face of Canada? And I was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. So I applied.
Yes.
Yeah, but then I didn't enter that year. And then the next year, because they had my information, they reached out to me, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, sure, let's try it. So I
And
remember I
you
competed.
were you already modeling?
I was modeling, yeah, but not that much, yeah.
Okay.
Because again, I was too commercial for Canadian market, right, at the time. So I
Oh,
wasn't
you know,
really
you were
getting
too high fashion for Canadian. You were
too
too
high fashion.
commercial
You're
for
right, exactly,
right, which
exactly.
is just that blows my
I'm
mind.
like, where do I belong?
So
I
can you
remember.
explain that? Like, what is too commercial and what is too high fashion? Like, when people say that, what are they looking at?
You know,
You're
I
like, I don't
still
know.
have a yeah, I still have a hard time differentiating the two because I think commercial is like I would think it's more marketable. High fashion's just fashion. You know, they
Yeah.
want like that gaunt look or I don't know, androgynous. It's something that's like extreme.
The way I like to think about it, or I don't like to think about it because it's awful, but I like to think about it as Vogue versus like a print editorial, right? So if you were
Yes.
to do like commercial is like, because Raven was definitely more commercial, so she was print and editorial, so she was like the face of Vidal Sassoon, of Oil of Olay, of like all those, but those are not like couture fashion, Alexander
Exactly.
McQueen, Balenciaga, like those kinds of
No,
runway
yeah.
style
Yeah.
models. And they're actually two very different types of, yeah, a lot of people can do a lot of crossover, but it's very particular, right? So
Yeah.
if you're like modeling for Vogue, you're more that runway, very high fashion style because of the content of what is in Vogue. But if you
Yeah.
are someone who's modeling for like Chow Sang Sang or like a jewelry company, or you can be that and not a runway model.
And maybe I can
Yeah.
see a difference in body types too, because some of those lines have very
Yes.
specific cuts and very specific shapes that they're building their clothes into that maybe works better. And then I would imagine maybe for commercial, it allows for more different body types. Maybe now, maybe not always, but
I think it's probably getting a little bit better, but I don't know. You would know better than me.
It's getting a little better, but I wouldn't say it's completely there yet.
okay.
Yeah, the whole body positivity thing is I think that's and actually the term body positivity, I read a really great book on unapologetic eating recently, about just being more in tune with what is good for your body rather than dictating what you eat and don't eat on external factors,
Yeah.
and actually it's more body acceptance really, where we normalize there being so many different types of and body types and things that are healthy for you, Nova, are not going to be necessarily healthy for me, and same with Raquel, and vice versa. So
Actually,
yes,
on that point, my mom just did a health DNA test. And it tells you, genetically, if you're more predisposed to like having more enzymes, certain enzymes that help you digest certain foods better. So some people, grains like are going to be harder for them to digest, or lactose is, or maybe it's your body has a harder time getting rid of free radicals. So you need to eat a lot more antioxidants than someone else. So there are ways where they're starting to
next level biohack.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Look into it.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me, so let's go back. I want to know more about your like how your childhood affected how you view the world, because you came from which country?
I came from Ethiopia.
Okay, so you were born in Ethiopia, and then 6 years old, you go from Ethiopia to Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
And
so tiny.
What was that like? Tell me, just paint us that picture of like I'm a transnational kid as well,
Yeah.
but going from one to another, like there's so many growing pains. There's so much culture shock. How did that feel for you? How was that?
Initially I thought it was a vacation because I was so young. I thought I was just traveling to another city. I didn't realize how far I was from my family.
Right.
And then obviously like a couple of years, and I'm like 5 years, I'm like 10 years. I'm like, wow, it's been a really long time since I've seen my family. I guess this is not a vacation anymore. Because I didn't reunite with my family again until I was in high school. So from the time that I was 6 until I was about like 15, 16, we had no way keeping in contact because, mind you, I didn't have a phone number. It's not like
wow,
you know what I mean? Like back then, internet was not as amazing as it is now. Like social media was not as prevalent. It wasn't even prevalent actually. So there was no way to be in contact. The only way was through different relatives that had traveled, and they were able to locate me that way. So that's how we were able to again reconnect with one another.
Do you get to go, when did you went back recently, right?
I did, for the first time in the 22 years that I've been here. That was April that I went back.
Wow.
Yeah, that was very emotional. Just seeing your family, like you always have like these stories of how you're going to act when you see them, or just you imagine how your life would differ if you were to live with them. Because I always wonder, how would my life differ if I were to grow up with my family? Would I be where I am today? Would I be further? Would I be behind? Like you just don't know. Because it's important to grow with family. It's so important. And like I can't even imagine what that must feel like for them, because I have to put myself in their shoes as well. I know they didn't willingly send me to Canada. It was a tough decision for them as well. I'm sure they have, I don't want to say regrets, but I'm sure they would have wanted me to live with them and grow up with them. But life had other plans, I guess. And I'm grateful to be here. Canada has afforded me so many opportunities. Had I not been here, I wouldn't be Miss Canada. I wouldn't have, achieved all of the goals that I wanted. So I don't know. It's just how you look at it, I guess. But I'm very grateful to be in Canada for sure. Yeah.
I just think that's so incredible. And it's such a wonderful reality check for anyone who is, when someone says I've been removed from my family, like there are so many different reasons that has to happen. There are so many different things, and there's so much that's outside of control, where someone makes a judgment and says, oh, but why couldn't you? Oh, but why isn't this? Oh, but why was that the thing? The fact is that it's not relevant. It was the thing. It happened. And I'm so happy that you got to go back, and you'll get to go back again, I'm assuming. I mean, travel's different now. But I normally don't say this in the middle of the show, but definitely like check out all the Instagram posts surrounding everything that Nova does, because they're just so full of joy, and they're just such authentic storytelling moments. And that's when I saw you with your father, sitting on your father's lap, and just having that moment.
Make me all emotional.
No, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But I don't know, when I saw them, I just became a little girl again, because I left when I was so young. So I kind of reverted back to just being that little girl and just sitting. I know I'm a grown woman, like 6 feet tall, sitting on my poor dad's lap. Like, you're heavy now, you're not light. I'm just like,
no, I'm staying here.
I'm a little girl. It's weird because I feel like in front of your parents, you just kind of like shrink to that little girl. It's like I just want to release all my worries and just be in their arms, because I hadn't had that in so long. Just telling them I love you for the first time, hugging them, kissing them, like that was special to me.
Did they know?
Sorry,
go on, Raquel.
No.
You ask.
No, I just wanted to know if you were ever able to send letters or anything like that, or was it, were you pretty out of contact until recently? And then how did you find them?
So I found them through just different relatives that would travel back and forth from Canada to Africa, Ethiopia and South Sudan. And they were able to locate me because we have a pretty big city in Calgary. That's where I was living prior to Ontario and Vancouver, obviously. So that's how we were able to regain connection. But I would send them pictures when somebody would travel back to Africa. So the first time, I think I was in grade, I think 5 was the first photo they saw of me. And then now with social media, I'm able to keep in contact with my brother, who's the one that's like online, and my sister as well. My parents are not on social media, of course. Can you imagine? So now we're able to share photos a lot more like frequently than before.
Wow.
How long is the flight? Tell me the like logistics of flying to Ethiopia.
I don't know how long from here, but because I flew from New York to Ethiopia, that was, I want to say like 20 something hours. Yeah,
it's a long way. How long was yours, Raquel? You flying to South Africa was what?
Well, for me, I was going from Amsterdam, which is the halfway point already. So that was a 10-hour flight, but Jean came from Canada. So for him, it was an 18 or 19 hour, but there was the hop over in Amsterdam. So that adds another like 3 hours because you have a layover. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of travel, okay, I know this is a sidebar, but you went all over. You traveled so much last year. Tell me, because you did the Miss Universe pageant last year. So we want to know a little bit about the basics of like pageantry, because both Raquel and I, one of our favorite movies is Miss Congeniality.
Right, of
just
course.
saying, Sandra Bullock for the win.
Yeah.
But we know nothing about...
I was like, that's it. That is all my pageant knowledge. Stops there.
That's it. Just Miss Congeniality.
Yeah. So, and hopefully people aren't trying to kill the contestants all the time, because that would be so much more drama.
They do. Just depends how it's. They don't use weapons as words.
Oh no. Okay, so tell me, because you
that went dark real quick. You're like, oh.
I love it. I want all the reels.
Yeah, all the reels. But you have such a great way of bringing people together. Again, going on that Instagram page. Not that I sound like I've looked at every single post you've ever put or anything like that, but you know, you're really great at rallying people. Let's be honest. So when you tell us a little bit about pageantry first, and then I want to know about how you made that camaraderie between those contestants, because you have so much love for those women that you were in that pageant with. So I'd love to hear, what is a pageant? How do you get in? What happens? What do you do? Do you need your own bathing suit? Is everything lycra?
Ooh, it's a lot. Okay, so a pageant. So people have a misconstrued idea of like what a pageant is, but a pageant is actually really empowering, because women are working on themselves to be the very best versions of themselves. So to do that, it takes a lot of work, and you learn about so much about yourself, and like teamwork and networking, and it's a business. Like you're essentially selling yourself to these brands and people to support you and sponsor your pageant journey, because you have to pay a fee to enter in Miss Canada. It's not free. So if you don't have the money yourself, then you have to find a way to use your network and gather the funds. Yeah, so it's a lot of work. You learn a lot of skills, people skills.
Is it a lot of money?
Business skills. I think it's a lot of money, yeah, because you have to put into account the entrance fee, your gowns if it's not sponsored, your hair and makeup, the training. So
this is thousands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like tens of thousands?
I mean, it can be depending, it can be depending on whether or not you have a support system, right? If you don't have any sponsors, it can definitely be thousands of dollars, because gowns are not cheap. Right. Shoes are not cheap. Makeup is not cheap. Everything adds up. And then training as well, runway training, public speaking training, a pageant coach. So it can definitely add up to a hefty fee.
Yeah. My goodness. So there are people who have been doing this. So I was just looking up the origins of beauty pageantry. And, you know, there's the fairest of them all style of thing, where there's different kinds of debutantes and other things where you're presenting women to the world. But the pageantry, I think in the United States, was kind of like a 1920s thing. And then it just started to grow and grow. And I think pageantry in the States it's very, very dramatized. It's very televised. It's, you know, it's very American in its like presentation to a global stage, hence Miss Congeniality obviously being such a big hit, right? But when you go into these pageants, how long do they last? Like is it you're going in, is there like what's the time frame?
A week normally. So when I competed for the third time, so mind you, I competed 3 times before winning. It was about a week, and it was during COVID. So imagine that, like we had to wear masks. Yeah, we had to always be separated from each other. It was too much. I understand. I know, because the best part is getting to know the girls, but how do I get to know all the 40 something girls if I can't interact with all of them, because we have to stay in our own bubbles, right? And like or stay with our roommates or 3 to a table. You can really, interact as much as you can. Yeah. So that was difficult, but no, pageants are great. I've learned so much about myself. The reason why I competed again for the third time, I wasn't going to, because the second time I competed, so the first time I competed, I had long hair, I had a weave, the standard stereotypical beauty that we would see on TV. So I did that. I made top 12, and I was like, wow, if I can get top 12 without even like having any experience, imagine what I could do if I actually were to train for this. So 2 years later, 2018, 4 years later, 2018. So first time was 2014, and then it was 2018. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to cut my hair. I'm just going to go short, just be myself, because I wanted to win as myself. I think to me, it's important to be authentic to who you are. And beauty is so subjective. It's important that I find myself beautiful naturally. Yes. If I want to represent myself and Canada, and I want young girls to look up to me and see themselves in my image as well. So I had my hair short, and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I made top 20, and I was like, I felt demoted. I was like, wow, Canada's not ready for me. And like in my mind, I felt as though my decision to go short had a lot to do with why I didn't advance. I mean, that may not be the case, but that's how I felt at the time. I felt they just didn't appreciate like my natural beauty. So then I sworn off pageant. I'm like, no, I'm done. I threw out my pageant shoes and I called it a day. And then 2019 came, and I was watching Miss Universe, and I saw South Africa, a beautiful Black woman from South Africa with short hair. I was like, wow, if Miss Universe can see a Black woman and crown her, then Canada has to, because prior to myself, the last woman that won was like 30 something years ago, the first and only Black woman to win Miss Canada. And I'm like, that's not acceptable. That can't be. No, I didn't like that. And I went in with an attitude of, I'm going to make them see me. Because we know as people of color, you have to always win 100 times stronger and better than your counterparts. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. So I made sure took all my training, got the best coaches, and in my mind, I'm going for the crown or nothing. I didn't want runner up. I didn't want anything. I'm like, you either crown me or don't give me a pity, runner up, not that you know what I mean? Like, no, but hear me out. Like the way I thought of that was that society always gives us, like here, like this, you're good, but not like good enough.
Participation
award. Yeah. Like I felt like if I would have gone a runner up, it would have been like, yeah, you're good, but not good enough. So it would have been like another slap to my face.
I think it's interesting that you say that, because I think there's also a real danger in society of tokenistic prizing. And so when someone is like, oh, you're Black, here, we better give you this.
Yeah.
Which is not okay. And what I loved from listening to so much of how you speak, from in everyday life, as well as, during campaigns, and when you're campaigning in multiple ways, and when you're being an activist to the general public, not just in a pageant, but you're so who you are. And I think what I really like about you is you're constantly challenging that yourself. You're constantly self-iterating and going, am I being the best person? Am I being the right, and even when you and I have had when we had that conversation on the way back from the fitting, and like the thing that really came up for me with you was that you were just like, I accept that I am who I am, but I will always question to make sure that it's who I want to be.
Yes.
And I love that.
I think the other side is like when you have the confidence that you've put in the work, because then you're going to show up and you're going to be the best. So you you put in the work and you invested in yourself, and you know that you're going to show up and that you can clear out. Like, there's a few times in life when you know, like, I am at the top of my game and I can win this. Yeah. And so if you don't win it when you know that you deserve it because you put in all of that, that's a frustration. That's like, yeah, that would be a killer.
But I think there's something with having like that can do, like knowing I am the ish attitude, because it's not arrogance. I feel like you have to exude confidence. And when you do, people feel it and see it. So if I'm walking around like, yes, this is me, this is my crown, you have no choice but to believe that, because I believe in it. You know, you can't believe in me more than I believe in myself. So because I believed so wholeheartedly that I deserved it, like even the way I speak to them, I was not scared. I didn't look at them like judges. I just like, yeah, this is like my crown, and they gave it to me. So
I love that quote. I love that. You can't believe in me more than I believe in myself. What a great line. Okay, so let's like run into the platform. Raquel's put a really beautiful quote here, and I'm going to read this quote out. The point is for you to listen, and if I have to go on a bigger stage for you to listen, then I'm going to do that. That's what I want to do with Miss Universe Canada. Use that platform so I can reach a broader audience, so I can create awareness and educate more people, because at the end of the day, it's about educating people.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I mean, that's a beautiful quote. Raquel, you have a hard time with social media, right?
Right?
Let's talk about that.
No, I think the thing is, for me, it's hard to put myself on a platform. And so that was one of the things that you were talking about in a lot of the interviews when I was doing some research, is you were talking about the importance of having that platform, of using social media, of using the pageants to be able to activate people and to be able to grow and educate people. And I thought that was so powerful. And it's something that I've definitely known, like being in communications, I know it, but it's so difficult for me to be vulnerable enough to put myself in that limelight. And I think both you and Christina do that really well. And it really, like, it takes championing your causes to the next level. So I wanted to ask you about what tips you had for other people who want to activate people. They want to push something. They've got something big that they are dreaming up. How would you give them advice to take that step out?
I would say just be yourself. You know, I've learned with social media that you can't please everyone. So just at least please you. As long as you're content with what you're putting out there, as long as you can go to sleep knowing that this is your truth, just speak your truth, because you can't speak for somebody else, only for yourself. So just be yourself. Know that you can't please everyone and you will never please anyone. So don't try to, you know, curate content where, oh, I don't want to make this person mad. No matter how good of a content you put out there, no matter how kind you are, no matter how nice of a message you're putting out there, there will always be someone that disagrees with you. So just stay true to just your beliefs. And yeah, I mean, it sounds hard, but it's really not. You know, just once you're comfortable with who you are, then I mean, of course, we're always going to care about what people think, but try not to. I'm not perfect. There are times where I fell into that rabbit hole of like, oh no, what if? But no, just do you, and live life based on your own accord. That's it.
Nova, I want to
the trolls.
Ignore them. Don't look. But I want to dig a little bit more into the technical side of that, what that actually looks like. Because for me, you know, I don't have the same platform as you, but I send a lot of content out on social media. I work a lot in career pathways. I speak publicly, not to the same extent, but to a different extent. And one thing that I would practically say, and what I want to know how you deal with this, is I started learning how to iterate and to be like, this is good enough. And it's based on my values. And until and I might not feel fully confident, but it's defensible. And so I have that one thing where I'm like, okay, what I'm going to say, if someone writes back to me, I'm okay with someone not agreeing because it's defensible to myself. And then I let it go. And what Raquel and I do is we agree to share from the scar and not from the wound. So we always say, we're going to put this out there when we're at a time where it's healed enough that if someone has a different opinion, it's not going to shake us in the same way. So when you were starting out, when you were starting that journey, when you were building, because you have a big following now, you have a lot of people and a lot of people that are looking up to you. What is your thought process of, like, you know, take me back, let's say 5 years ago, how you were posting 5 years ago? Were you just taking, you know, just trying things? What were you really intentional? What did it look like then and now?
I think all the above. 5 years ago, I was definitely posting a lot more fashion related stuff just because that was the route that I was heading towards. But just growing up, I've always been opinionated, and I feel like there's a negative connotation to that word, but I've always had a voice. I've always known that my power lied in my voice. So I've always been one to speak up, even when no one was talking. I've always been the one to, like, stand up for the little guys, you know? So I think it just comes to me naturally. I don't really think too much when it comes to speaking for the voiceless, or, you know, like lending a help, you know, an ear or a helping hand to anyone, because for me, it's all about community. You know, one of my favorite proverbs is an African proverb, and it takes a village. You know, and another one is like, if you want to get there fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So I'm a huge advocate of community work and, you know, just helping people, because I have been helped. I'm not here because of myself, my own doing. Like, I've definitely had people along the way help me, like organizations. So I just always try to pay it forward, you know, any way that I can. And it may seem like just you saying hi to someone is something so small, but it's not. Like, you don't know what the person's going through. Like, just a simple hi, hello, you know, just even one kind word is enough to change a person's day. So,
yeah, it shows that you've normalized it in so much. I know you say that it's just how you are, but I think, again, this is like the iterative nature of the Nova Stevens, is someone who goes, okay, here's me. And like you said, pageantry really helps you to bring out, you know, those questions of yourself. How do I want to present? What is my best version of myself? And to those people who are not necessarily looking to go into pageants, but are looking to live and exude that confidence in every single way that you exist, in your career, in your home life, and, you know, your interactions with the people that you care about and your interactions with the people that you don't. I would really encourage everyone to really iterate, because when you normalize trying to show what you care about and articulate it in a way that doesn't tear someone else down, and as long as you own that that's yours and your opinion, you really start to get used to that being your voice, and it looks different for everybody. And Raquel, I've been watching Raquel do it over time, where she's like, now I'm in the jungle, now I'm in the rock face, now I'm doing these things. And we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and you were like, or maybe it was a few months ago, there's no what is time? But Raquel was just like, I finally realized, like, I really like posting about my nature-based stuff and the physical stuff, because it really, I feel good about it. I don't feel like it's encroaching on my privacy, but I feel like it's sharing something that I love. Would that be like accurate, Raquel?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think there's, you know, if you looked at my phone, I've actually recorded a ton of content of things that go deeper into my values. I just never post it.
Well, maybe now you should.
You can do it, Raquel.
One day I'll just like close my eyes. For me, it's the podcast, because I get to talk to amazing people, and I'm a lot better in one-on-one or one-on-two conversations. A small group, I can really dig deep and I can have those meaningful conversations, and it's just how I work better. Whereas for me, when I post on social media, I don't feel as individual. I feel like there's too many people, and I can't connect in the same way that I can. So on the podcast, my voice reaches further than I can, but it feels more intimate to me, which feels more natural. So I think the podcast has been really good. I'd like to find a way to extend that further, because I think then that can just, amplify. But I need to find a way to take the feeling of the podcast and put it into social media.
You'd be surprised, Raquel. You said that it's more intimate to have these one-on-ones, but you have no idea who's looking at your content. They may, even though they're not liking it, people are still viewing it. You know what I mean? And like, people have different learning styles. Maybe more people are more into like, reading than like auditory. So you are also reaching a lot of people and like connecting in that way as well.
Yes.
Very good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And DMs, if you can like take that to that level, if you can get a little bit deeper, then that can also okay, there was another quote that I pulled that you said that I absolutely loved, and I wanted to get into recognizing struggles, and I think it's a good lead out, because from what you were just saying about this all coming naturally to you, what I'm reading into that is you're very empathetic. And you see people's struggles. And I think the thing is, when you grow up and you have all of these experiences, I think some people experience more when they're younger than others. And I think what they can bring out is a level of empathy that is just greater than some other people's, and maybe not, but I do seem to find that. So the quote that I took out was, "I am Nova Stevens. I am Canadian and I am a Black woman. As I stand before you, I want you to see me as a Black woman. Yes, I want you to see color," which I loved, because seeing color does not mean you're racist. Instead, it allows you to see the struggles experienced by people of color. And I loved that last line. So I wanted to ask you about that. So talk about the importance of educating people on history, educating people on the realities outside of their own, and recognizing the struggles of others.
I feel like people are afraid to ask questions, but how else will you learn if you don't ask questions? I always welcome people to ask me any question. I will never judge you for asking a question, because to me, it shows that you want to learn, you want to get to know me, you want to actually connect with me. I would rather that than you have preconceived notions of me. So when I say see color, we can't be oblivious to the fact that we look different. We do look different, and that's okay. It's okay to look different. What's not okay is treating each other different because of the way we look. So people need to normalize recognizing that people look different. They come from different walks of life, different cultural backgrounds, and we can get together and get to know one another. I say diversify your surroundings, because how else will I know Christina or you, Raquel, if I don't surround myself with people like yourself and learn about your background and your story? I won't. If I'm just stuck in my own little bubble, people from my own culture, I'm always going to be biased towards you. And I'm always going to judge you based on what I see on TV rather than what I've experienced with you. So I think it's so important to actually be with people in person, not just rely on television and media to give you an idea of somebody else's story. Ask them their story.
Yes.
This is it's like such a rabbit hole of awesomeness to go down. And I think I always circle back as someone who, I always say this, like the victim and product of colonization. When you're mixed race and you have you're kind of like skirting in between identities all the time. And then all of a sudden identity is a really important thing for you to be able to know about. And then you're like, okay, well, who am I? How am I representing? How am I helping other people feel like safe in different situations while navigating my own things? One of the rabbit holes that it's so easy to go down is, someone said to me the other day, like, people want to be with people who are like them. And I was like, but I grew up with everyone from everywhere. And that was a really big thing that I have more concern about for media and representation, which is why I love that Nova and I are in a fitting together, someone who's 6 foot and someone who's 5'3.5", 5'4" in the morning, just to be really clear. you know, someone who's like, I'm a larger body size than you are. Like, we have different skin tones, different cultures, different backgrounds, different walks, different dispositions, right? And I loved that that there were so many different people on that shoot that were from so many different spaces and places. But one of the big things that I find is media and the representation is it can also force you into being around people who are like you or not like you. And so there's such a really strong, like, there are so many different elements. And growing up in a city, like Raquel, you grew up in Vancouver, where most of the people were Chinese in your school. So you were the odd one out, right?
I was one of I was one of 3 white kids in my grade, and 2 of them were twins.
Wow.
And so we get the luxury of normalizing all these different people. But Nova, to your point, and I love what you say, and I think that I can't wait for us to be in that situation, and I know we're moving there. But how does someone who is from a place that is mostly white, like, how do the people in Newfoundland, how do you navigate that? How do you encourage people to start thinking differently? What else can they do if they, let's say if, like, in Hong Kong, there's not that many people from certain countries. How do we grow anyway?
Travel. You have to travel. Oh my goodness, traveling.
Okay. I'm just going to to be really clear here. This pertains to everyone except Raquel. Raquel, you are not to continue traveling. You have to come back to Vancouver and finish doing this content. This does not apply to you, Raquel.
All of us. We'll see the world through your eyes.
I'm like, where's the farthest flung areas I can find? Like, my next plan is I want to go to the Arabian desert, so I'm planning.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm planning a horse riding trip.
I don't like this.
No, I love. Can I be in your suitcase? Is it big enough? Is it long enough?
Is it long enough?
I'll make a seat behind, like, we can ride together.
Yeah, great.
God,
Don't worry, you two. I'll just run this. I'll run the show while you're gone and just sit here in my closet. I can't come with you. We don't have internet.
Hey, okay. I have this nifty little gadget now.
Oh
so
my
God.
You think that works everywhere? Is that what you think?
So.
Let's see.
It's a SIM card. I think we're going to make it happen.
We'll call him Steve and we'll see.
But that's your name.
Yeah, everyone missed that joke because it was before we started, but we're all Steves here. So
we're all Steves. Yeah. We're all otherwise known as Steves.
You know what I always think is interesting, though, like, you're bringing up people, let's say, who are from a really homogenous society. So you're from New Brunswick and it's quite white, whatever it is. But I think also what's interesting is when you have a group of people who think they're diverse, but they're not, because there's differences in, yes, there's like looking difference, but then there's also like cultural differences, and there's all of these differences that go so much further. So I think sometimes people can think that they have this really diverse life, but everyone's grown up in the same town with the same like for generations, and it's not as different as they may think it is. So I think that's another thing. Like, if you don't have the money for travel, maybe it's listening to, well, we're a podcast, so listening to podcasts from people in different countries, right? Or maybe it's reading articles or looking at newspapers, digital newspapers from different countries, something like that, to see different perspectives, learning history in different countries. Like, that's one of my favorite things, is when I travel to a place to research a bit of the history there and understand a little bit of what makes the people there who they are today, because that goes back generations. I think it's so fascinating. Yeah, there's so many different places that you can look and learn.
No, that's great, Raquel. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Nova, how do you find it with the pageantry? So I want to talk about the camaraderie that you have with all of these women, because this is a perfect example. You're in a pageant. Yeah, with people from everywhere. So how was that? Tell us about how you brought each other together and lifted each other up.
Okay, so I honestly just love people. Like I love people. I've always been outgoing from a really young age. When I was in high school, I got like the Spirit Award. Like I was the one-man cheerleading team. Like I just really love people. I really do. And I love community and sisterhood and music. So just putting all of those things together, it was so easy. You know, the song that we really connected with is Who Run the World. And I thought it was just so fitting because we are women, we're empowered women from all walks of life. And they're all amazing women. Like all those women, oh my goodness, I can vouch for anything because they're not only intelligent, they're beautiful, intelligent, they have visions, they want to change the world in their own ways. Like I don't know, it was just so easy, you know, it was just so easy for us to come together because although we're competing for a title, we know that there can only be one winner, but we can all win by connecting with each other. So it just, yeah.
And I love that. Raquel is like, this is her dream come true. We're not becoming a pageant. That is not what is happening. I'm not. Raquel
Let's
just
do
comes.
it!
Oh my God.
All right. No. You guys are the last two standing. Ready?
With my
2021 Drinks and Brunches winner. Oh, we have a tie. For the first time in history, we have a tie.
Yes.
Congratulations, Christina and Raquel.
We put our invisible.
My Wi-Fi crown.
Steve.
Winners, Steve and Steve.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, I feel like such a winner now. That's so great. I just want to thank the Academy. Thank you to my friends. You're all winners here. Raquel.
Like she breaks her crown.
Yeah, you have a piece of crown. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well, one thing that you just said that really, really stuck out to me is that you were all operating, having won already at a national level. So you're operating, and Raquel and I call these people our fire friends, where it's like, these are people that we know who are as ambitious, as driven, as socially conscious, and as ready to lift each other up as each other. So then it becomes this, you put yourself in a position where you're now starting to like super learn and super grow and essentially supernova. So, you know, you launch into this. I was so waiting for that one because I do. Thank you. I see how I just like, yeah, that's what happens when you're a winner with a crown of fingers.
Exactly.
But I wanted to bring that into the Supernova Foundation, which you're going to start next year. So you've created this kind of, you've normalized surrounding yourself with incredibly passionate and ambitious and just and wonderfully socially conscious people. And now you want to, speaking of how people want to change the world, for you believe in mentorship so much and so strongly. And individual mentorship. So tell us about the Supernova Foundation and what your vision is for next year.
So it's Go Supernova.
Go Supernova, sorry.
Yes, so because we can all become a supernova. You don't have to be Nova to be a supernova. So go for a supernova. Go Supernova essentially is just shoot for the stars, you know, and you'll land on the moon. So when I was very young, I've always told myself I was going to have an organization of some sort because Canada has essentially raised me, you know, and I felt that was my way of giving back along with adoption. Those are very two important things to me. Like I have to have a foundation and adopt. So when I was forming Go Supernova, I thought about myself, young Nova. What would a young Nova like to have growing up? And I was fortunate to have mentorship. You know, had I not had my coaches and my teachers, I don't know if I would be the same person because they were kind of like second parents to me. And so with that idea, I said, why not create a foundation where I can create lifelong mentorships for these children? So if they want to be a singer, I will find a singer to mentor them until they reach that goal. They want to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever their dreams are. No dream is too big or too small for them to achieve. And I didn't want it to be, you know, a temporary thing. I wanted it to be, again, like lifelong, kind of like big brother, big sister, but for life, you know, having that support system for life, having someone that believes in you, that actually cares about you and wants you to reach your goals. Because as a child, as someone that grew up without parents, you know, you really see the difference in like with people who actually grew up in like a 2-parent household. They have that support, someone that goes to their games and like tells them they love them. You don't have to share DNA to love someone or to be their family. So I want to create family for these kids that may not have family, you know, and have them feel like they belong in this world and that they have people that care for them. Because a lot of these kids that come from, you know, displaced families or they're in the system, they feel like they don't belong anywhere and they feel unwanted. A child I came across, it's a really sad story, but like he was adopted. And a friend of mine, like they run an organization that's similar. He was adopted and like his parents chose to adopt his brother and like sent him back to the system, which really broke my heart, because when you adopt a child, the point is for you to be there, to be a parent, you know, and like care for them no matter what. You can't just take me in and then throw me away like a piece of garbage once you feel, you know what I mean? Once the shininess of me goes away. So that really broke my heart that they did that. But a lot of kids need homes and they need families. So that's why for me, I have to do it. It's one of my lifelong goals that I just want to serve the community and people, because kids are the future. And if they are not supported, if they don't feel like they belong or have faith in themselves, then how could they even excel in life? Yeah, like I mentioned that it's important. Go ahead.
No, you please go ahead.
No, like it's important to, of course, have faith in yourself, but it's also important to have people that believe in you, because there are times where I may doubt myself. But if I have great people in my corner and they're like, no, you're amazing, just remind you of who you are, that's equally as important as having faith in yourself. So that's why I wanted to do the cool Supernova.
I love it. I love that you've been you're so like deeply thoughtful about the impact of, you know, when you say lifelong and individual mentorship, and I think really highly curating the relationship. And I don't mean it in a surface level way, but literally looking at what does this person really, really love and want to do, and how can I create parameters for there to be sustained mentorship, because otherwise you feel like you're just potentially, I guess I never thought about it like that, and I'm so grateful that you brought it up in that way, to think about it not as if it's just another program you got into. And I think that can be a really interesting, I think it'll be a lot, you know, it's a big commitment on both sides. But I think with a framework that sets you up to understand what the parameters of that are, then that provides a consistency that, like you say, there are a lot of people who, you know, who don't have that in any way. And a lot of people who are not in the system who also don't have that in any way. I think individual mentorship is so important and such an incredible thing that you're doing. So we want to bring you back to talk about that and just
for the launch.
Yeah, let's do for the launch, please. Do you have any like timelines, or you're pulling everything together now, and you work fast, lady? Like when we talked about it, you're like, this is going to happen and it's going to happen like pretty soon. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Because time waits for no man, you know, like we're always waiting for the perfect moment, but there will never be a perfect moment but now. So just do it. Don't overthink things. Don't overthink. Just do it.
I wish, I'm going to put that on my bathroom mirror and be like, Nova Stevens says don't overthink things, because I am the ultimate overthinker. I overthink everything. So I'm going to put that in, be like, Miss Canada 2020 told me not to overthink things.
Don't think, just kidding. No, you can think, just don't overthink.
Just don't overthink.
Have a timer. Think for 5 minutes and then, you know.
Oh my gosh, I should totally do that. Be like, Kev, thought now I'm just going to do.
Like, do you know what a scheduler Christina is? You just gave her.
Oh, I can see it.
She's going to put this in the calendar now. This is my 5-minute time limit to overthink this idea that Raquel just pulled out of a hat on a
overthink for 5 minutes. That's it. And then
and then her timer is gonna go off, and she's like, "Okay, it's yoga time."
I'm done.
Oh man, I want to think some more. All right, gotta wait till tomorrow.
I'm just gonna send you voice notes. I'm gonna send both of you voice notes of like, hey, thought about this. Gotta go now. It's yoga time. See you later.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Oh
my God, I love it. I also wanted to say I absolutely love this idea of aligning with career paths, because there are individual struggles that are different for different career paths. So if you I mean, a doctor can be an amazing mentor for anybody, but for someone who wants to follow a path of medicine, there's just going to be, like, especially if you're, let's just say, pairing up a young girl with a female doctor, there's going to be struggles along that path that they're just going to understand in such a unique way, and nobody else is going to. And I think having that kind of a pairing is so important, and the more similarities they can find within those matches, it's just gonna help them so incredibly much, to see that they can realize those dreams. I think that's absolutely amazing. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to champion your
thank you.
Yes.
And however we can support it, like, I've said to you, Nova, so much of our work that we do in Bombshell Brunches is about people being brave and living full, and that a big pillar of that is career, and also being able to navigate your career is, like, I think I might have said to you, your career is a jungle gym instead of as a ladder. So someone might go halfway down and be like, I don't want to be a doctor, actually. I want to be a naturopath. I want to do this. I want to do that. And to have those people who, we're serving humanity and honoring humanity first, and then empowering people to actually understand what a career path looks like, what they can get from it, why they want to do it, and allow people to change or to get to where they want to be, because you didn't do pageants until you were 19, and now look, you're Miss Canada.
And I want to be a teacher at 6, so exactly.
And now you're combining those things, and I think that's the real key takeaway for so much of this. Raquel and I have the luxury and honor to have these guests on and create these through lines when we come away and talk about what we've learned. And one of the big things is surround yourself with amazing community. Serve your community as much as you are receiving from your community, and then continuously grow and change and evolve and be there to grow together. It's just, I think you've really, you're so inspiring. All the things that you do are just so inspiring. Okay, well, we don't have any more time today, but you have all the time in the world to do exactly what I did and go to @TheNovaStevens on Instagram and just enjoy that whole feed. Just enjoy all of the notes, read the captions. The captions are my favorite. And there's such beautiful captions, and just really get involved and get behind, and keep an eye out for the Go Supernova Foundation launch, and just send Nova a little message of love, and tell her she's doing an amazing job, and know that it's not about you telling her. She knows that already, because we're all confident people now. And so you just get to share it.
But it's good to hear. And also, if you know anyone that would be interested in being part of the Go Supernova Foundation, reach out to me too.
Yes,
we
do. Once we get those parameters, if any of you are listening out there and you think, hey, I'm a insert really obscure career path person, I'm a specialist in this obscure thing, I'm going to put my hand up and say, hey, does anyone else, if you find someone else, like a registry of,
I love that.
It'd be great. Okay, well, thank you so much once again for joining us, Nova. We can't wait to talk to you again so soon.
Oh, ladies, thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun. I can't believe it's been an hour already. It feels like it's been like 10 minutes.
I know, right?
I'm like, what? How is it?
What happened? We won. I mean, what happened in
that much time?
So much happened, though. Steve and I won, Miss Universe.
So are there two of you that reside inside of you?
Yeah, we're one person.
Steve
We're just
Steve
Steve squared. I like it. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I also posted one of my favorite poems, by the way. It was a
I did?
Tupac poem. Yeah, you did. It was a Tupac
Oh
poem
yeah.
with the rose and the concrete. And I was
yes.
just telling my boyfriend, I was like, she posted one of my favorite. I have a tattoo that's like based off a couple things, but that's one of the.
It's such a beautiful poem. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
We'll have to pop that in the resources as well.
Let me plan that.
I just add that in after I've overthought about it for 5 minutes. Okay, well, we will see you soon. Thank you so much again. You're amazing.
As are you, ladies. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, bombshells. In order to continue to elevate, subscribe and don't forget to click that little bell so you can get notified every time we have a new badass brunch. Until next time, stay focused, fierce, and fabulous.